So now that we have set up our page with our 3 artboards, we are ready to get started. Let's take a look at Concordant. We're going to make 10 different little type examples using only Concordant fonts. Remembering what Concordant means, you're going to choose just one font and you're going to compare 2 parts of a short phrase. For example, I'm going to get my text tool and type, and I'm going to make 2 different text boxes for my little phrase. And there's a few different ways you can do this. I'm going to press Command, that changes my mouse into a cursor, and click. You can also go over here and click on the type tool again, and that would do the same thing. This allows me to make a new text box. And right now we have Minion Pro selected. So let's take a look at Minion Pro. Get your Move tool and click Character. Now, the character has all the options for the text itself. So we can change the font here, and we can change the font style. All of these are within the same font family. Minion Pro is our font family, and within that font family, we can make it italic. We could semi-bold it, or we could bold it. We could bold italicize it. These are all options within one font family. So that means that this is concordant with this. Remember, for this first one, we're only using concordant relationships. Other things that you can do in here, you can change the size here, but we're going to keep everything at 36 for this page. The set leading is not important for what we're doing. I'll show you what this does though. If we have our text down here selected, then it would decrease the amount of space or increase the amount of space between your lines. Back to our example. So we're not going to do that. And we don't need to worry about kerning. This one, set tracking for selected characters, will add space in between your letters. And that's how that looks, which is different from this one here, which increases the size of the letters. So the letters are getting stretched as I go out, and also the letters are getting taller if I do this. You can do this a little bit, but we want to remember that we're not wanting to change this font too much. We want it to stay pretty close to the original here. So let's bring that down quite a lot. You can get a similar effect just by clicking and dragging. Now holding down Shift will keep it so that it doesn't distort, but if you click and drag, it does a very similar thing. But it also increases the size of the font. So these are just some things to keep in mind. We're going to talk about character rotation here in a little bit. And you can mess around with, that one makes it all caps. This one makes them all small caps, or all the small letters in capital letters. Make that superscript and a subscript. And underline and cross through. It's a good idea to know where all these things are if you ever need them, but you will not need them for this assignment. So I'm going to undo my stretching here and get it back to my original. The last thing that you need to do with this before you move on to your next one, because we're going to be making 10 of them, is you're going to place these in an interesting arrangement. So if I put it the way that I have here, the G tucks in next to the D, and that works really nicely. The spacing between here is very similar to the spacing between here. So I would be okay with leaving it that way, but you can mess around with some different things. If I put that there, do we like it to rest there? We could zoom in and see if anything looks strange. I think this part right here looks a little strange. So if I liked this idea, then I could maybe move my word done up a little bit and over so that it didn't have that funny little mark there. And that's pretty good too. What if I put it so that it was right next to the G? I don't think I like that quite as much. If it was right under the G, nope, I don't like that either. In the end, I really like it when it's tucked in right here, just like that. Now we're ready to move on to the next one. So let's select these and Alt and drag to copy it. Make sure you leave enough space in between them. And we're ready to change. For each one, change the font for both of these to something else. You can change the font here. Just remember that you need to actually click on the arrow over here. Or you can right click and get your font this way. Either one is okay. You do need to make sure that you click one that has an arrow because they are the ones that have different options for you. For example, if you try to use this one, Black Oak STD, there are no other options for it, so you can't make it bold or italicized or any of those things that would make the relationship concordant. So I'm going to choose American Typewriter, and if I just click here, it will change both of them to American Typewriter. Now I can choose one of these and mess with it. This time I'm going to mess with Get It. So what if I just made this one bold? Well, I don't like that. Maybe I want to switch these. I think I like the Done to be bold. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I like that. You can mess with this again. Would this font look better side by side or underneath? I don't know, I still like it over here. Okay, there's my second concordant relationship. Now I only have 8 left. So go ahead and do this assignment. Remember, each new one is going to need to be different font, and that these two are going to be in the same font family. You're just going to change it in some way. Maybe you make the text thinner or lighter, or maybe you make it bold. Maybe you stretch it a little bit. Maybe you make them all caps. Lots of choices for you. We already talked about space in between the letters. We also might want to talk about alignment a little bit. If I align this Y with a W, this looks a little bit more intentional than, say, if I moved it over here so that it was just kind of setting on top and the R overlaps here, but it doesn't overlap anywhere else, and so it looks a little strange. Alignment is going to help your design to look a little bit more intentional. So play with aligning your letters together. If I aligned the Y here, or if I maybe aligned it so that the E's are overlapping each other, I do like that better. But let's try putting it so that the A is aligned there. Or maybe we set it so that it's right above it, so that they're just aligned like this. And I think that works pretty well too. Lots of options. There's no absolute correct answer. Also, in your character option menu, these settings will stay the same when you move to a next font. So have fun and finish this concordant exercise. Once finished, go ahead and clean up anything that you need to. If you need to re-space some of your texts, you can do that. Make sure that everything stays inside of your 1/2 inch margins. And then move down here to your text at the bottom and it should start with two fonts are concordant when, and then you fill in that blank. I'm not going to answer that question, but after doing this exercise, hopefully you will know the answer to that question. I also want you to change the word concordant to something that's concordant with Minion Pro. And you ought to know what to do here. Just change it to be something concordant. This concludes our concordant page. Once you're finished here, we'll move on to conflicting.